Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mo, and welcome back to One Mo Kidney. And today I'm going to be talking about the three best and worst things about getting a kidney transplant, from my experience, and not in particularly any order. But without further ado, let's get started. So, starting with the first best thing that happened because of my getting a transplant would have to be getting off of dialysis almost pretty much immediately. The last time I did dialysis, hopefully forever, was the night before my transplant. And I made a video talking about all the ins and outs of my dialysis experience and all the struggles and stuff that I went through while getting dialyzed. I did both hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis, and it's not fun, getting the toxins filtered and out of your system can be really draining and taxing on the body and really limits you and what you can do, kind of, in a way. So I really struggled traveling. I struggled having a normal life, especially when I was on hemodialysis and it took 4 or 5 hours of your day, 3 days a week. But a transplant fixes that because you're no longer stuck and hooked up to a machine. You can live your life pretty much normally. And it's just an amazing feeling. I remember that first time coming home from the hospital, it was about time that I usually hook up, and I just remember just feeling like it was so amazing, being like, I don't need you anymore, you know? Yeah. Okay, so now moving on to number two best thing about getting a kidney transplant, in my opinion, again, would have to be getting off of that renal diet. So the renal diet is something you go on when you're on dialysis, and it's supposed to limit a lot of the nutrients you get from various sources, so like potassium, phosphorus, sometimes protein, and it also has a limit of fluid intake because you're trying to take toxins out of your body. You don't want to be adding a lot of stuff and making it harder on yourself during dialysis by having that stuff in you, if that makes sense. So I remember I couldn't eat dairy, so no cheese and milk, and my nickname as a kid was Holy Halib. It's kind of a cultural thing, but anyways, Halib in Arabic is milk, so I just really love milk. Um, and it sucked because I couldn't do that anymore. A lot of vegetables, most importantly of which was potatoes, so no more French fries, which was a real struggle. And I think my diet pretty much consisted of chicken, rice, bread, dry cereal. It was very bland, because a lot of I couldn't have salt either, but that had more to do with the hypertension. But still, getting off that diet was an amazing thing because I gained a lot of weight in the weeks following my transplant. And I have a picture. The first day coming home after the transplant, I believe my dad took me to Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, and I got a large French fry from both just to kind of enjoy myself. And that was an amazing feeling. I told I don't do that at all pretty much now, but that first day, my parents, let it slide, and it was amazing. So now moving on to number three best thing about getting a transplant would have to be kind of that new outlook on life, kind of that mindset that it gives you, and that motivation to kind of do better and more with your life. I kind of talked about it in my transplant video, but to brush up on it, it's getting a transplant has shown me, how fortunate and lucky I am to be here and to be alive today because I left the dialysis center. And looking back, I remember I was sad because I knew there were a lot of people that were probably going to be on dialysis until they passed, or, uh, you know, until, forever, hopefully, for a long time, and hopefully they're doing well. But there are a variety of reasons why people can't get a transplant. Lack of social support, lack of money, bad health care. Maybe they don't want to and they're not educated about the benefits of it. But there are so many reasons that prevent people from getting a transplant, and me being so fortunate and lucky to get one in a year, being the average time on a wait list is 3 years. Again, it just reminds me how lucky I am and continues to motivate me to do more with my life and to give back when I can and when able, especially to the kidney community and also anyone dealing with kind of health struggles. It's really now like a new soft spot in my heart. And I'm kind of decided I want to make that my mission in life to give back to these people, and help these people and support these people, and educate myself to be in a better place so that I can um, do this in an excellent manner. I'm kind of rambling now, but the mindset, of a transplant has been something wonderful, I feel, for me. So now moving on to the not so good aspects of transplant. And I like to make it clear, I do think transplant is still a great and the best option for someone dealing with kidney failure and on dialysis. And I know there are people that feel, they don't want it and dialysis is good. And by all means, um, it's a personal decision, whichever way you choose. But for me personally, transplant was the best, and I've really enjoyed it. With that being said, there are still some drawbacks. So number one drawback for me would be the medication, the immunosuppressant medication. So I take Prograf and Cellcept every morning and evening, 9 and 9. I recently switched to 10 and 10 because out of school now, I wanted that extra hour to sleep in a little bit. But the immunosuppressant medication, on kind of two fronts, it has a lot of side effects, which sometimes can't be too good. I remember kind of a burning and tingling in my toes and my fingers, and that's not a bad one. A really bad one has been hair loss, which I'm struggling with, which is not a good thing of Prograf. Another one is high glucose, high blood sugar level, which I've been talking with my doctors, and I might try and get off one of these and get on a new one if it continues to rise for me. So that's something I'm continuing to monitor. I know I said transplant kind of gives you that freedom, but when you get a taste of freedom, it's not the same freedom I had since before I found out I was sick. So I still feel kind of locked into that, oh, I have medication every day. And sometimes you can get into that cycle of thinking like you're chained to that. And that's just something to look out for, and I guess a little drawback of transplant. But then again, this medication is something that's keeping you alive. So you gotta roll with the punches sometimes. The second worst thing about kidney transplant for me was kind of the expectations that I had going into it and what I thought my life would be like immediately afterwards, and versus the reality, what it actually was. And I'm saying this because a lot of people, a lot of doctors, my nurse, people at the dialysis unit all told me, don't worry, once you get on a transplant and you wake up, it's going to feel like that, and you're going to immediately feel better, and you're going to feel like a whole new person. And that absolutely did not happen for me. And that was something that was really hard because I thought maybe I was doing something wrong. Maybe am I not like grateful enough? Why isn't it working? Like, why am I happy again? Is honestly something I would ask myself. And that's kind of, I say this as a drawback, kind of because I'm nitpicking here, because I don't think there are a lot of drawbacks to transplant because it's a great option. But I'm saying this because it's something to be aware of. Everyone is on their own pace to recovery and on their own pace and timing in life. And you should never put yourself onto someone else's expectations or timeline or something. Everyone has their own path in life. And I think it's important to get better at your own pace and do what's best for you, if that makes sense. So, that was kind of a drawback, but also something great to learn from. And now the third worst thing I'd say about kidney transplant, I'm piggybacking off of the third best thing, and I'm also going to say mindset. And kind of what I mean by this is that, yes, the mindset and motivation is great, and that something that makes kidney transplant amazing, but it can also be a big struggle because you get a transplant, and you're like, I'm healthy again, is what everyone tells you. I'm going to live my normal life again, except that, truth be told, it's not the same. You're not going to live the same life you did beforehand. You're going to have to take medications every day, and you're going to be strict about it. You come in, at least for me, like my mortality and my my life, is something that I often think about. How much time do I have left, and it's something that can cause you to worry. But that's also kind of something, like I said, you can take that as a negative, but it can also be a positive and something for motivation to do great things with your life. So kind of that's why mindset is on both ends of the spectrum for me. And with that, that's my list. Let me know what you think. If you disagree, agree, or if you have different things you would have put. But thank you for watching. Take care and peace.